Currently, Youth Off the Streets has 400 regular volunteers, as well as about 350 one-off corporate volunteers that we have partnerships with.
When volunteers come into our organisation, they need to understand that they will certainly give, but they also will receive.
I believe all kids have a right to be loved and cared for, and anything I can do to show care, it's a privilege.
Youth Off the Streets has a couple of programs that we can't do without volunteers. Certainly Street Walk, which is a really significant service.
Street Walk is one of those programs where we intercept young people when they first become homeless, and we try and refer them to different services, particularly accommodation.
We get the young people into refuges, and from the refuges they move on into schools, or they move on into drug and alcohol services.
Last year, for example, we got 4 kids from Street Walk, that is, who are living on the streets, into one of our schools, and those 4 kids all got their school certificate.
And they will tell other kids that are new on the streets, who will then come and approach us about, I need a place to stay, or I need a blanket, I'm hungry. And they have somebody they can trust because they don't actually have that at home.
The food van is totally run by volunteers. There's no paid staff attached to that service at all. It's run by the volunteers, it's delivered by the volunteers.
We don't discriminate, we feed anybody that wants to come along. We see people that without us coming up there, they wouldn't eat, and it's just fantastic to be able to give them a meal and give them some nice hot coffee.
You've got to think about the organisation and what you're giving to the organisation.
Our high schools are really nurturing environments to help kids prosper, and we heavily rely on volunteers to support those services.
I'm the maintenance volunteer at Key College, which involves general maintenance of all the outdoor areas for the kids, but also the boys' bathrooms and ad hoc duties.
My husband and I come in on Mondays. I prepare lunch while he gives a geography lesson.
We don't have the resources to have the number of teachers that other schools have, so having volunteer teachers, having people come into those schools to cook them lunch, to teach them everyday living skills. So those few areas we just could not operate financially without the use of volunteers.
Giving money is all very good for the organisation, but for yourself you feel better if you're actually interacting with the people.
Kids need just a normal everyday person around them too. They bring warmth and love, and it's quite amazing to see some of our volunteers and how close and connected to our kids they are.
Everybody starts off a little bit apprehensive about what they can really do with young people and what kind of challenges they will face, but I've found it just a totally positive experience.
Mentors have been proven to take kids through to higher levels of school. So a school kid that gets a mentor at year 10 with a mentor is able to get through to year 12. That's an incredible thing.
I actually have 2 people now that I'm mentoring and teaching to drive, both of them, and I feel I've developed a relationship with them which is probably as good as the relationship I had almost with my own kids.
Every young person needs a cheer squad. You become part of that cheer squad no matter what you do in this organisation.
We are always looking for new volunteers. Whether you can mow a lawn, cook a barbecue or play sports with kids, we've got a spot for you at Youth Off the Streets.